Now, the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants says it will recommend to the Professional Conduct Committee for a disciplinary process against Markus Jooste to be closed. The 63-year-old former Steinhoff International CEO shot himself on Thursday at his home in Hermanus in the Western Cape. It's alleged that the incident happened while police were negotiating his arrest after a warrant was issued. A day before Jooste's death was confirmed, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority slapped him with a 475 million rand fine for falsifying Steinhoff's financial statements. Now, for more on this conversation, we're now joined by South African Institute of Chartered Accountants CEO, Patricia Stock. Patricia, thank you so much for joining us this evening on News at Prime. Firstly, your reaction as a body to the death of Markus Jooste.
Good evening, Masa and the viewers. Thank you for the opportunity to engage. Firstly, because there's a loss of life involved, our thoughts are with the Jooste's family in the time of their loss and those that were adversely affected by his conduct. Mr. Jooste unfortunately took the truth with him, and for us, the core to our purpose of SAICA is to ensure that the public interest is upheld. And in this instance, we cannot proceed to achieve that very same purpose because of his passing. So it is unfortunate that we find ourselves with this current outcome, because our processes, as you rightly say, will then have to get to a point where we have to consider closing the case.
Now, is that protocol that usually happens when you have a member such as Markus Jooste, who has had his membership suspended and is going through disciplinary process, if that person then should pass on, that the case then be closed?
Yes, Masa. Our processes are guided by our bylaws and they're consistent across. This approach is not first with the deceased, Mr. Jooste, because what happens is we have to consider the natural principles of justice, which require that the respondent in our processes has to be given an opportunity to present at the hearing that we convene. And now that the respondent is now deceased, we find ourselves in a position where we do not have a legal persona to actually respond to the charges that we have laid against Mr. Jooste. So it is common practice with us that we'll refer the matter to the Independent Professional Conduct Committee to consider closing the matter. And as I said, it's consistent with what we have done previously.
And so that would be the case for SAICA. Then moving forward, what happens with the case in terms of justice then?
Yeah, and that's a critical question to consider. Yes, the deceased, we know that there is loss of information because of his passing. However, with cases of this nature, one should know that it's not only one party that is responsible and involved in whatever misconduct or fraudulent activities that have taken place. So the regulators, such as the FSCA, to continue with the probe with respect to considering other witnesses and parties that were involved in this case, so that justice, to a certain extent, should continue to be served.
Absolutely. Now, Patricia, would you say that the industry has recovered from the shame and the illegal activities that Markus Jooste brought to it? I mean, it was described as the biggest fraud in South African history.
Yeah, in our view, the industry hasn't recovered as yet. I mean, if you look at the share price and the fact that, the pension funds that have been lost and, that keep remaining at the low levels that they were, and then considering the exacerbated impact of COVID, that happened post the incidents of fraudulent activities that we uncovered. So definitely we're still in the phase where the market is still recovering. We believe that it will take some time to get to a point of restoration, considering the loss that has been suffered and where the current economy finds itself in South Africa. So there is still a lot of work to be done to recover and restore what has been lost.
Now, when, a tragedy like this occurs, suicide under any circumstances is a travesty. When that occurs and then that person, as you said, takes their truths and the secrets and all the insides to the grave, that doesn't really help the industry either, right?
Yeah, that's correct, myself. But as I said, the probe has to continue. We hope that someone that might have been a party to whatever actions that led us to the point that we are currently as a country, that they will come forward with the truth so that we can actually ensure that justice is served, and we can also look at what corrective measures have to be implemented going forward.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your time with us this evening and your insights. We wish you all the best. That was South African Institute of Chartered Accountants CEO Patricia Stock.